It's Holyrood and it's Thursday once again here in Edinburgh, and that means FMQs. Now, we're going to just ignore all of the things that came out of Russell Finlay and Anna Sarwar's mouths today and talk about an allegation from the former Tory leader, Douglas Ross. He used a point of order right at the end of the session to allege that the Minister for Parliamentary Business, Jamie Hepburn, physically and verbally assaulted him after the close of Parly Business yesterday evening. Now, in a conversation, the two of them clearly had a disagreement, and Mr Ross accuses Mr Hepburn of violent, threatening and intimidating behaviour.
Point of order, Douglas Ross.
Presiding Officer, you know what I'm going to mention because I emailed you this morning seeking to raise this at First Minister's questions. First Minister, as I left the chamber yesterday, I was physically assaulted and verbally abused by your Minister for Parliamentary Business, Jamie Hepburn.
Through the chair, please, Mr Ross.
This was the point I would make to the First Minister. I'm wondering if the First Minister will make a statement and take an opportunity to say that he has a zero-tolerance approach to threatening and intimidating behaviour by his ministers. I have raised this yesterday afternoon with parliamentary officials. I notice the Minister for Parliamentary Business is not in the chamber this afternoon. Therefore, will he be making a statement on this incident later today?
Thank you. Obviously, comments addressed to the First Minister in the chamber are not a point of order, but I would say that this is a very serious allegation and it is important that it's dealt with through the appropriate processes. I expect all members to take their responsibilities under the Code of Conduct seriously.
Now, we spoke to the First Minister immediately after FMQs. He said that it was the first time he had heard of these allegations. And then when we asked him whether or not he would suspend Mr Hepburn, he said he would be considering what action to take. Now, this story is going to be a major one here. It's a major bust-up between two MSPs. This one will not go away quietly. All we know so far is that the complaint has been made to the parliamentary authorities, and now the whole of Parliament's aware, the whole of Scotland's aware. Be interesting to see what happens next. Almost certain, it feels like Jamie Hepburn, if these allegations are proved to be true, will lose his job, and that will mean a mini reshuffle for John Swinney. SNP sources have said that you have described you as a full contact politician and that there was just harsh words between you and Jamie Hepburn, and the idea that there was any sort of assault is nonsense and simply untrue. What's your response to that?
Well, I'm not going to make up someone grabbing me and continuing to hold me as I left the chamber and then to walk down a corridor out of the chamber. It wasn't a brush going past, it was grabbing someone and continuing to hold on to them, and that just can't be tolerated. It wouldn't be tolerated in any workplace, and it certainly can't be tolerated from a minister who is responsible for working with MSPs across this parliament.
Douglas Ross, you say you've been assaulted and abused. What happened?
I was grabbed by Jamie Hepburn, Minister for Parliamentary Business, yesterday afternoon as I left the chamber. He then started swearing in my face. I won't repeat the words, but I have made them available to parliamentary authorities. He continued as we left the back of the chamber, and then there's a corridor outside. He continued to hold on to me. His grab got stronger and stronger. His words got louder and more aggressive, and it was very clear he was getting angrier and angrier, and he was struggling to control his anger.
What was it about?
It was about asking for too many statements. And the language he used was, you and your effing statements, so many effing statements. Do you think I've got effing time for your effing statements? And I just made the point we were walking out at 4:20, so we did have time because we'd actually finished early yesterday. He continued to get more and more aggressive, and as we reached the black and white corridor, he then left to go to the ministerial corridor, and I went into the tea room to actually just compose myself to think about what had just happened. I was on my own for a couple of minutes, and look, I've been around politics for long enough. I know it's a rough and tumble sport at times, but when there's physical violence involved, and I think grabbing someone in that way is described in any other way, when there's language like that used from one MSP who is responsible in this Parliament to work with MSPs right across the chamber to listen to our requests and respond to them in front of Scottish Government civil servants who were sat there, security and other parliamentary staff, some of whom have witnessed this and have been contacted by the Chief Executive. I felt there was an onus on me to report it to the Chief Executive, which I did yesterday afternoon.
So what should happen now?
I think the ministerial code is very clear. I looked at that this morning when I received a response from the Chief Executive, and the behaviour that I experienced from the Minister is absolutely against what is in the ministerial code. I can see no way he can continue in his role in government, particularly in a role which means he has to work with MSPs. I was due to be in a debate this afternoon which the Minister will be speaking in, and I can't be in the chamber at the moment. I mean, I would worry about his reaction. If his reaction to me asking for one statement was to grab me and to swear at me in my face in an aggressive manner, I'm not. Yes, I was hurt when he grabbed me. I mean, someone grabbing you for a minute as you're trying to walk out of the chamber hurts.
Douglas, is this
so I've just finished Colin's point. I don't believe there is any way the First Minister can support support his minister when it is so clear and people witness that action, because the ministerial code is very clear. That will not be tolerated. Those are the words in the ministerial code, and I wouldn't expect John Swinney to tolerate.
Douglas, you're accusing.
Douglas, were you scared?
Do you know, to begin with, I was shocked and I was kind of caught off guard because I thought it was a joke. And then it got tighter and tighter as he continued to grab onto me, and he got more and more aggressive, and I realised then it was not a joke. He wasn't being light-hearted, he was being deadly serious and aggressive in his nature, and that's why I believe others turned round, and I know some have confirmed to the Parliament's Chief Executive they were aware of the Minister's raised voices, and again that alone is enough, I think, to contravene the ministerial code.
Douglas Ross, you are accusing a minister of physically assaulting you in this Parliament. So is this a matter that you're going to report to the police? Is it a police matter?
Yes, I believe it is, sadly. Look, I don't want to waste anyone's time, but last night when I met with the Chief Executive, I asked for the next steps, and he rightly said he would take time to look into this. He responded very quickly this morning. Therefore, the next step for me is to speak to the parliamentary police, which I've arranged to do this afternoon.
Douglas,
suggesting that there was choice language on both sides of what the argument was going on.
No, I can tell you exactly the words I used, Alan, which were, is this a joke? Are you joking? And then when it continued, I said, so you're not joking, it's deadly serious, and that's verbatim all I said to Jamie Hepburn yesterday.
Yeah, well, what do you say to respond to Douglas Ross's allegations that you assaulted and abused him yesterday?
Well, look, I will freely fess up to things I've done, but I won't apologise for things I've not done. So yesterday, yeah, put my hand on his shoulder and probably used a few choice words I shouldn't have. That's it.
He said that you actually puffed him with your grip.
Yesterday I put my hand on his shoulder and had a few choice words with him, and that's it.
He said you and your effing statements, so many effing statements, too many effing statements.
Yesterday I used some words that I probably shouldn't have.
Is that what you said to him?
I used some words yesterday I shouldn't have.
Are you considering your position? Is that threatening behaviour?
I used some words I shouldn't have yesterday. Industrious language, I accept. I shouldn't have done that.
Did you use
Is that
force?
appropriate in the workplace?
But I recognise I shouldn't have used that knowledge.
Do you think the First Minister has confidence in you as his whip?
Look, I've used language I shouldn't have.
Yeah, but do you think the First Minister has confidence in you today?
I'm holding my hands up to what I've done.
Have you offered him your resignation?
I'm holding my hands up to what I've done.
But have you offered the First Minister your
I used
resignation?
language I shouldn't have yesterday. I'm sure we've all done that.
Have you used any language to the First Minister in terms of offering your resignation?
Recognising I did yesterday.
Will you make statements?
He put his hand on his shoulder and pushed on. I put my hand on his shoulder.
Relaxed, rested, there was no force at all.
Put my hand on his shoulder.
Yeah.
And used a few words I shouldn't have.
Jamie, do you think it needs a ministerial code?
Look, I've said what happened yesterday. That's all I can say.
Are you apologise to Douglas Ross?
I haven't spoken with him.
Are you
Will
going
you
to apologise
apologise
to
to him?
Douglas Ross?
If he wants to speak to me, I'll freely speak to him.
He says he's afraid to go into the chamber this afternoon to debate because you'll be taking part.
I find that hard to believe.
He's reporting it to the police. What do you think of that?
We'll wait and see what happens.
Do you
think
regret
that
having any
attitude is
physical
acceptable?
contact? Is that something you'd do again?
I should not have used the words I used yesterday.
What about the contact?
what words did you use?
Well, look, I'm not going to go into what happened yesterday in terms of what made me angry, because I recognise I should not have used the language I used, but I think everyone knows the context. I was speaking to a business motion after we just agreed landmark legislation to improve the experience for victims and witnesses yesterday. And I think he then spoke to the business motion the way he shouldn't have. But I recognise, I should have kept my cool. I should have kept my cool and not used the language.
It was completely inappropriate, wasn't it?
I shouldn't have used the language I should have.
Do you get angry like that often?
I shouldn't have used the language I should have, and thankfully I don't do that all that often.
What was the language you used, Mr Hepburn?
I'm not going to repeat the words I used yesterday, but suffice to say, I shouldn't have used
Mr Ross was perfectly happy to tell us what you said. Why won't you tell us what you said?
How often did you get angry with people? How often did you put your hands on people?
I used the language I used yesterday. I shouldn't have.
How often did you put hands on people?
I conducted myself in a fashion yesterday I have not conducted myself in before.
Can you ask these questions? That is?
You mentioned the victims bill. Was that the reason you put your hands on him?
Look, I've said what I've got to say. I did what I did. I shouldn't have used the words I did, and that's all.
Mr Hepburn, no one's going to believe you, Mr Hepburn.
You've done that.
Look, I've already said I should not have used the language I should have used.
Yeah, that's language.
I shouldn't have engaged with the way I did. And
Why don't you just apologise? Rather than Douglas Ross having to come and ask you for an apology, why can't you just say, I'm sorry about my behaviour?
Look, I'm clearly sorry that I conducted myself in the fashion I did. I recognise I let myself down.
So will you contact him to apologise now?
But that is the extent of it. Some of what has been suggested does not tally with the reality.
Mr Hepburn, no one's going to believe you.
Mr Ross to apologise now?
Oh, I'm happy to speak to him.
Mr Hepburn.
Will you contact him? Will you proactively do that?
I'm sure I'll encounter him at some point.
Minister, no one's going to believe you. You've just said the same thing about 20 times. Why won't you be open and honest about what actually happened here?
I'm being honest and open what happened.
I don't think any of our readers are going to believe a word that comes out of your mouth.
Douglas Ross was exaggerating.
Look, all I can tell you is yesterday I put my hand on his shoulder, used some words I shouldn't have. I recognised I shouldn't have done it, and that's what happened.
Okay, thank you.
Come and not vote for a bully, someone who loses their temper, puts their hands on another politician. Why should people vote for you, Jamie?
Thankfully, they don't need to, because that's not how I conduct myself ordinarily. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
The whole reason for having it at their own headquarters has now been thrown out. And on that point, I'll give way to the Minister.
I just wonder at what stage Mr Ross might speak to the business motion before us, President Officer. And as an aside, I can say I've not had any request sent to me for a statement in this matter as a matter of public record. I think it's important to make that point. But let me do what Mr Ross did not do and speak to the business motion before us. But as an aside, let me say the Tories have a new business manager. I can't say it speaks much for Mr Ross's confidence in him when he hasn't decided to go and speak to his business manager to raise this matter with me. I can hear the Conservatives decrying
Let's hear the
I have
Minister.
not had a single representation from the Conservative business manager on this issue. I've had plenty of other issues, but not this issue. And if Mr Ross cares to go via his business manager, as is the normal practice, and he cares to raise this with me, I'll give it every consideration. Of course I'll give way to Mr Ross.
Well, I'm grateful to the Minister for giving me. First of all, the problem with asking for statements is we have asked for many and none of them come forward. We get them drip, drip, drip over weeks. This is an urgent issue, which is why I went through the process of a topical question and an urgent question. When that was not successful, the next opportunity for a member to raise this is through the business motion. So the Minister could satisfy us all by saying his government will postpone this summit, organise a proper summit that will listen to people and include that in the business statement next week.
Minister.
Well, he knows it's utter nonsense that we don't bring forward statements that have been requested. There was a statement requested on the situation. He cares to listen. I'm happy to spend on the situation at Alexander Dennis. And we brought that statement today. That statement was made at the request of the Conservative Party. So we do bring these things forward. And indeed, let me come to the matter at hand in relation to the business motion, because I do thank Liz Smith for actually speaking to the business motion. She makes the point that she's already raised the issue with the Minister for Children, Young People and the promise around a statement on the matter that she raises. A commitment has been made by the Minister that there will be a statement. I have, and this speaks to the point. The Conservative business manager has in fact raised this issue with me. I've made clear to him that we will lodge a statement on this matter. I've made that point to all business managers, and indeed I've made that commitment to the Presiding Officer. So I make that commitment here and now. We will bring forward a statement, and I'll bring forward a revised business motion, subject of course to the agreement of Bureau next week.
Thank you. The question is that motion